auspicious occasion. As the guests are coming in, I'm requesting that the band popote mlipo tafadhali njooni ili mtuelekeze katika ufunguzi wa sherehe hii ya leo. The band popote mlipo, as our guests are settling in, kindly allow us to begin this. Tutawauliza mtakapokuwa tayari, nasi pia tukiwa tayari. Karibuni sana wageni wetu. Asanteni kufika Chuo Kikuu cha Kisii. Ni siku ambayo tumeitamani, tumeitaraji, na bila shaka ndio hii siku. Welcome so much. We have recognized a lot of you, and we still recognize your presence. This is Kisii University, and our weather is warm, and we have been asking our visitors, those are coming that for the first time, please make sure that you walk around this beautiful county. Topography nzuri sana before you go back home. Many partners and universities in the house. Our chief guest is here to just grace this occasion, and therefore we are a full house, and the launch is here. HERI Africa. Asanteni sana. Wageni wetu tafadhali, mnakaribishwa mpate nafasi zenu za kuketi, na ninapofanya hivi nitamuomba tu kwamba kasisi wetu na mwelekezi ambaye tuelekeza katika masuala ya maombi ya Kiislamu, tafadhali mnaweza mkaja katika jukwaa punde tu tukimaliza kufanya nyimbo zetu tupate ufunguzi wa maombi. Kasisi tafadhali njooni tu msimame karibu na mimi ili iwe kwa wepesi. And so as you're moving in, the band, wherever you are, I am sure you can get my voice. Be signaling you to be able to usher in to open our ceremony. Are we good? The band, please. Our national anthem, the East African anthem, and the Kisii University anthem. Mkiwa tayari tafadhali.
Kisii University, a world-class university, a modern institution located in Kenya. Oh Lord, we thank you. A modern institution located in Kenya. Oh Lord, we thank you. A modern
Asanteni sana. Tukiwa tumesimama hivyo, nitawaomba kwamba waombezi waje.
Naomba tafadhali dakika moja tuketi, tafadhali. Dear God of people, God's people, we are here because of research and innovation to mobilize resources for the betterment of the African people. We acknowledge that the giver of all that is good is the Almighty God, and He alone. Jeremiah tells us, Jeremiah 32, verse 19, that the Lord is amazing. He has got all the knowledge. If you need counsel, seek Yahweh. If you need power, He is the one who supersedes human mortals. As we pursue human integrity, research extension for the betterment of the people of Africa and beyond, it's good always to consult the Lord Yahweh. And that's why we are here, that the Lord is omnipotent. Jeremiah tells us, He assures the people of Israel there is nothing they can manage without Him. Jeremiah goes on to say, God is omniscient. All knowledge, all counsel, all wisdom comes from Him. And as we undertake the HERI Africa initiative here, with all the partners and the participants, I want to dedicate this day to you and to the Almighty God, that in His hands you may be able to feel His protection, His guidance, and His care. It is with this now I invite you to be upstanding as we invoke the name of the Almighty God in our midst.
Okay, let's believe and pray. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Allahumma اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Father, in the name of Jesus, your Son, our Creator, the love of knowledge and the giver of all that is good, we stand here to uphold your holiness, your greatness. You know it all, O Lord. You plan everything and you empower man to do whatever the mind can reach, far and wide. We stand here this morning with all the participants and the stakeholders as HERI Africa to call upon your blessings. Bless this gathering and all the endeavors which are ahead of us. Bless the government, the national and also the county government and all other universities participating here. Lord, give us the counsel, because you are the greatest when it comes to knowledge and counsel. And you who monitor human mortality, look upon us, because you are the mightier than all human wisdom. We call upon you, Lord. We entreat you to go with us. We ask you to bless the day and all the activities ahead of us. Bless the speakers who will take this podium, that they may communicate this information for the betterment of the people of this university, all our universities, our country Kenya, and beyond. Lord, with the other intentions within our hearts, in our families, and in our country Kenya, and in our universities, we petition you. Let your will be done. We make all these prayers through Christ our Lord. And may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, God bless you all.
Thank you very much for leading us in prayers. Our chief guest, our CS, Honorable Julius Ogamba, our host, Zizi Afrique, our Chair of Council, Kisii University, Dr. our host VC, Professor Ogechi, our other visiting VCs from other universities, our partners, our invited guests. Good morning. Allow me at this particular moment invite Professor Nathan Ogechi, our host, to come and recognize the guests that are here and even welcome us to this particular function. Karibu, Prof.
Our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of education, our colleagues who have come to join us. We have the Chair, Kisii University Council, Dr. Sarah Ruto, and members of the council. We have colleagues to the Chair of Council, chairs of other universities, the Chair, Chuka University. We have colleagues who have also joined us from the other universities. I am aware that we have Masai Mara University represented. Somebody from Masai Mara, please. Oh, Professor Osano is there from Masai Mara. I'm aware we have a representation from Meru University. Professor Omamo is there. I'm aware, and a lady from here, a round of applause to them. I'm also aware that we have colleagues who have come from Kenyatta University. There is Dr. Okibo there. We have colleagues who have come from the schools around here, particularly our neighbors here. May the principals from the schools around here please rise up. Our immediate neighbor, chief guest, just outside here. The Government African School, Kisii. Mogaka is there, and Dr. Mogonchi from HERI Girls is also here. We have colleagues who have come from the funding organizations, our good organizations that are here. We have Ziz Africa, we have Imaginable Futures, we have Safaricom Foundation, we have the National Gender and Equality Commission. We have colleagues who have come from other universities, my fellow Vice Chancellors. The Vice Chancellor, Egerton University, Professor Kiwage, please. A round of applause, Professor Kiwage. We have the Vice Chancellor, Embu University, Professor Daniel Mugendi, who is the chair of the Vice Chancellor's Committee. We also have the Commission for University Education, led by the Commission Secretary, Professor Mike Korea, please, Mike Korea. We also have colleagues who have come from the National Research Foundation. The CEO is here. A round of applause from Professor Kala. We also have colleagues who have joined us from the political representation, the political class from around here. I saw people from ruling parties here. That is Ford Kenya here is represented by one Charles Ndege. Our colleagues from the Ministry of Interior and National Coordination, the people who have ensured that everything here is running on well, led by the County Commissioner, Chaunga Mwachaunga. Mpige makofi. And those who are with him, like the County Commander, Mr. Kirui, very good man. and that is the Administrative Police Services is also here with us. And then, oh, did I recognize people from Jaramogi? I saw somebody from Jaramogi here. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. Our friends from the African APHRC, Professor Ngware, and others. If you want to know whether I went to school, that is the man who should tell you whether I went to school. Professor Ngware is there. And many other guests who have joined us. Please, in as much as I'm still waiting for the list of the guests who arrived here and are joining us, please feel welcome to Kisii. Of course, the Ministry of Education, when the CS is here, at times I may forget to say that the Director University Education, Mogaka, is here. But I'll also it will not be very nice for me not to recognize a very important man who worked in the Ministry of Education when it required a lot of work to be done. And when some of us were in school, when people like Andim and others were there, they didn't know where it began from, those of you who are dons. How many of you know that Professor Kilemi Mwire is in the house? Professor Kilemi Mwire is here. Where are the dons? If you guys are talking about Uwasu and you don't know where Uwasu began from, then you are not serious. You don't know the history of this place. Kilemi Mwire is the one who was there before. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll also be in problems if I don't recognize the fact that we have all the staff of Kisii University. Let's start with the academic staff. Where are you, please? May you be upstanding. Our chief guest, we have about 319 staff who work in the academic section of the university. And we have a slightly larger number. It's about 325. Those of us who also work in the shared services. May you be upstanding, please? All the other staff in the shared services, a few of them are here. And then finally, may I see the comrades then? A few comrades should be here. I know classes are going on. Comrades, where are you? Yeah, tuwapigie makofi. I want to say that officially we are now being invited for this very important ceremony, the official launch of HERI Africa, something that is going to make this university shine for the next few years, as it starts off with the two other sister universities, University of Embu, Kenyatta University, and the other universities will join. Of course, I forgot to mention that we also have a representation of the Catholic University of East Africa, please, the DVC, please. Mpige naye makofi. It is something that is going to shine and is going to give us an opportunity to have research in this country done. Since I know I'm not going to make any other remarks later, part of my opening remarks include the official speech that I'm supposed to make here. And I start off by saying the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Principal Secretary for Higher Education, Principal Secretary for Science, Research and Innovation, Chair of Council and members of Kisii University Council, Chairs of Council of other universities, Chairperson and Commissioners of the Commission for University Education, colleague Vice Chancellors, leadership of ZISAFRIC Foundation, ESA, Imaginable Futures, ECNA Giving, representatives of the National Research Fund and National Commission for Science and Technology and Innovation, partners from the African Population and Health Research Center and Education Sub-Saharan Africa, Kisii University faculty and shared services staff, students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good morning. So I wish to warmly welcome you to Kisii University for the official launch of the Harnessing Education Research for Impact in Africa, HERI Africa. This initiative marks a significant shift towards education research that is led by Africa and focused on creating impact in Africa. Because for a long time, Africa has had to rely on what comes from the north. And they say, he who pays the piper calls the what? The tune. And for that reason, we have not made any significant very significant contribution to research. Africa has had a minuscule contribution to research at 3% of the global research output. But even at 3%, as I've said, that research is largely funded from the north. The HERI Africa initiative seeks to make Africa contribute at least 30% of educational research output that is funded by Africa and its partners by the year 2050. This is particularly crucial for Kenya, which has just commenced on a shift to the competence-based education. And as she does so, then HERI Africa comes in, because the endeavor that HERI Africa is going to do goes beyond transformation and is poised to be transformative. It will address the need to connect research to national priorities, build institutional capacity, inform policy, improve research communication, and secure sustainable funding from within Africa. As such, HERI is quite commendable and is timely. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and our chief guest, 3 public universities will host the research chairs in education research. Kisii University is proud to host the HERI Africa Research Chair in Language Education. Language, as some of us, and if not all of us are aware, language is at the heart of all learning. It's at the heart of all teaching, because strong literacy supports success in mathematics, it supports success in sciences, it supports success in life skills, and every other subject. A while ago, about 26 years ago, some of us were engaged in research in this country. Our focus then was on the medium of education in the country, the linguistic human rights to the language of education in the country. Our chief guest, we focused on 6 out of the then 8 provinces of the country. And we were looking at that language aspect, the medium of education. Where for a long time we said between grade 1 and grade 3, we can do it in local languages, the languages of the catchment, and from grade 4 we can use English. What came out is that even at grade 6 at that time, things were not coming out. I know for a long time, my chair of council, a consummate researcher in education, used to tell us how we used to have kids who could not do a few things out of the other foundations and research initiatives that she guided. So what we are saying is that in our multilingual setting, research in language education is crucial for boosting foundational literacy, improving classroom practice, and preserving local knowledge systems. It's very, very crucial to have that. So through the research chair in language education in Kisii University, we commit to nurture and produce high impactful research that is relevant to policy in literacy and multilingual teaching. This is in line with our focus as a university in terms of human resource and capacity development and postgraduate scholarship for an inclusive and borderless society. The truth of the matter is, when this research chair is introduced, and as it will come out to many of us, is that the council at Kisii University has deliberately gone out and approved an appointment and promotion criteria for academic staff that provides for 2 tracks. There is a track that is a blend of academics and research. You can be doing a lot of teaching, do a little research and publishing here and there, and you move on, all the way up to the professorial level. But there is also a research track beginning from a research assistant that will take you all the way up to the professorial level, and you'll be doing 90% research and very little teaching. And the little teaching that you'll be doing is largely at the graduate level. You'll be teaching the master students, you'll be teaching the postgraduate students, and once in a while, 1 or 2 professors might invite you to appear in his class, so that the students are what? Are motivated. So the council has done a wonderful job, and that's why even as we start off within the policies that are approved by the University Council, we already have the position of the research chair anchored. A round of applause to the council at Kisii University. But I also want to tell you that this has come because of the good leadership that, as I've said, a year ago, at the beginning of the year, usually council meets to set the agenda for the year. a year ago in 2025 January, when the council had its first meeting, we discussed all that the councils had achieved, and they said we have done a lot in terms of getting the software to run the university, in terms of policies here and there so that things run. We have done a lot in terms of ensuring that a few things happen in terms of finances. But there was also one other thing that was remaining, that in as much as now we are talking about ensuring that the quality of the teaching that we are doing here is assured, there is a need to do what? The research, and that's when they went ahead and started off this. The challenge that was given then by the chair of council is we need to look for a way of getting the fund. And I'm glad that the chair has gone ahead and ensured that even as she does all the other things on governance, she has assisted to lead the council and the university in ensuring that we have a research chair coming in. Our chief guest, as a university, we shall strive to support the research chair and faculty in the School of Education, School of Arts, and within the university, all those that will be involved in the activities of the research chair through according them light workloads and flexible teaching schedules, particularly those ones who may be involved, especially at the PhD level, will be working in this project. This will enable them get ample time to engage in research on the various thematic areas within the National Education Research Agenda, NERA, which will be unveiled shortly. In the same breath, I wish to challenge the early career researchers within the university and those who have attended to take advantage of this research chair initiative to enhance their research skills. And to our undergraduate students who are in attendance, I advise you to take advantage of the availability of this initiative within Kisii University as you dream and actualize your careers with a view to making a positive contribution to society. Our chief guest, as Kisii University, we have a commitment that we want to make. We are happy to be part of the HERI Africa initiative and are willing to make our honest contributions to make the program succeed. Together with our collaborating institutions, we hope to draw lessons on successes and shared strategies on the challenges for better management of the program. So that against the foregoing and on behalf of Kisii University, we reaffirm our commitment to do the following. 1, to align our research with the National Education Research Agenda. 2, to share knowledge and learning across institutions. 3, to support early career and particularly female researchers. And 4, promote the impact of research beyond academic publication. It's not enough to say that we have published, but we also need that publication to make an impact. Allow me to say that we at Kisii University favor collaboration over competition. We also favor shared impact over isolated success. As I conclude my remarks, I wish to reiterate that Kisii University is ready through the language education research chair and strong partnerships to advance the goals of HERI Africa and contribute meaningfully to research, publication, and attainment of programs to Kisii University.
Round of applause for our VC.
Yeah, I also wish to recognize the presence of Professor Caroline Toruwa, Kenyatta University, DVC, in charge of research. Where is Professor? Oh, she's there. And all the team that has come all the way from Kenyatta University. Okay, thanks a lot. Be blessed.
Thank you very much. In the spirit of celebration, the University Student Choir kindly join me at the podium just for one item. Kindly join me. We can appreciate our Vice Chancellor, even as the student choir is taking over. One item, kindly. And immediately after they are done, their staff choir, one item, and then we can move on to the communication team to be able to project to us the documentary screening of HERI Africa. This is the University Student Choir.
Ladies and gentlemen, HERI. HERI means Harnessing Education Research for Impact. It is guided by 6 principles, namely Africa-led, co-creative, localized, long-term, gender sensitivity, and responsiveness.
HERI Africa, HERI, a youth legend, African continent, so rich in resources, we thank the living God for the rich homeland. African continent, so rich in resources, we thank the living God for the rich homeland. African continent, so rich in resources.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our choir. We really thank our God because of the African continent. Bring in the staff choir for just one item, kindly. Student who is supposed to do a poem, take the stage. In the interest of time, take the stage. We really thank God for Africa, rich resources. Right to here today, and this is a very rich message. Thank you for reminding us of the gift of God that we have. Just one item, kindly, a poem, a very short poem, and then we finalize by our staff choir, ladies and gentlemen who are working here, but also growing their talent and trying as much as possible to use music to pass information to the world. If you're ready, thank you. You could use this.
So, mwenye macho ambiyo itazama juu kwa shimo watazama. Macho yana pazia, but behind these curtains kumejaa tabia. Siweza kuadithia, but sauti instead mimi inaniambia chorea. Hivi ndo society inatulea. Design kumejaa uchafu na bado omo itatuambia that is good. I don't mean to be rude, but bado nguvu za deto lazezi uchafu ya ghetto. We are not good at football, at ndo mademo akishika ball wengi watafford kwa boat. Jua peni mchezo, alafu tunalia kuna change time to change fate ya watu wangeleta change in a wide range. Na society imetulia, juma daktari pia wanakulia. Two life at stake tunajipata tukilia na tumeshindwa kuongea juu society imetulea. Aliambia want to make you features of men, so mimi ni mvuvi yes, but if I don't smell something fishy, si lazima kuna beef. Na mayudheni ni ma-vegetarian wameshikanisha form za jaba na waba, mademo wajaiva siku hizo na compete na maboys kuban. Wengi niko jobless to man industrial area with product hatuwezi choma. Vijana tuache miadarati aje na hakuna kazi. Nitawaambia nini wakinshow little wine is good for your health? Ama nitaambia tu opposite tense, ujana ntisiezi ya na fence. Usikii maboy wamekoma less, mpaka mademo wanakoma less. Bians. In short, ni beer fans. Creation na concentration to hide our faces when our youthful life is in a mess. Wanaume wawili, moja kona vest kwa mili, mwingine crop top kwa chest inatia kukamili. Society tumeangukia na calamity. Nikiwa high na feel juu tuseme no kwa walimu wanapachika watoto mimba, kuingisha form za uzazi instead ya kwa show nje kuna form za kupanga uzazi. Tunapopet the truth na kalas za uongo. Masikio yetu imekataa kusikiliza haki juu tunataka za macho. Na sasa attend to patient atiju patient pace. Tuko lock, tunachomadha akijifungulia from lock za pregnancy. Ati wao tumeminia na roza humanity. Society tumeangukia na calamity. Na vijana tumeacha tukisema ati kama haki iwe ngao acha haki iwe nao. Haki isikwe postponed acha haki iwe right now. Tunachukua chini ya have na have notes na wananchi wamekuwa folded kama have notes kama manoti kwa mkono ya conductor, na the only time tutachiliwa ni senye society ita demand change.
And so in the basic year education in primary tulifunzwa A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W. And you know what? XY is what I chose to be my name. Ndio kila time nikiingia hapa kwa stage mnabaki zile za Z. Ukini XY nitaitika, lakini juu nimekuja mapema na mistari si unaweza niita Mr. Ali ama XY mistari juu Z. So today nimeamka nikiwa excited juu I'm feeling it's a planting day. From the launch in Kisii University, we are sowing a seed. Literacy with clarity, numeracy with accuracy, reality with competency to get proficiency. That is HERI. Harnessing educational research for impact. You know what? Yes. Wakati nilisikia for impact, I knew that's a 5-star mentality for every one of us, making it a 10 over 10 deal. That is why I'm all in. Ndio maana nasema ni HERI. Semeni ni HERI. Semeni ni HERI. Si ni HERI itafanya we discover hiyo dawa ya cancer. Oh yes, we can, sir. It's an opportunity for sisi students tuone kila mtu in the society ni wabuheri wa afya. Sini HERI itafanya sisi as Africans tukuwe na a free can mentality. Ni HERI itafanya sisi Africans tukuwe na African mentality. Our vision is to be a vibrant ecosystem mahali with determination. We are in a mission to transformation of this nation and the entire generation from the tradition, and with collaboration, research can lead that decision into transformation. That's the kind of mentality we call a free can mentality. Sini HERI itafanya our education system is support that learner to growth, just like the same way as stamina support the plant to growth. So ni HERI tukue well planned na HERI. Sini HERI itafanya illiteracy kwa ya kuonana. Ni HERI itafanya tuambie illiteracy kwa HERI ya kuonana. Juu ukionana goalkeeper, we are ready to save our nation. And the goal is achievable. Ni kuambia tu maisha ya kitambo kwa HERI na kuingia kwa HERI. Kama mwandishi ningekuwa na kalamu, ningeafford kalamu ndio ni write mambo HERI ya kuhusu HERI, lakini kwa sahihi niruhusu niseme kwa HERI. Lakini kabla niseme kwa HERI, hata niwaachie jambo moja. Nitawaacha na HERI. Ni HERI kwa HERI.
Asante sana, mpigie makofi. Hakika tutakuwa na African Mind. University Staff Choir, please. Thank you. Just take over.
Wageni mwakaribishwa hapa chuo cha Kisii. HERI Africa twawapongeza kwa mikakati na miundo misingi kwa kuendeleza elimu Afrika. Mbegu mnayoipanda ni ya manufaa kwa kizazi hiki na kijacho. Mbegu mnayoipanda ni ya manufaa kwa kizazi hiki na kijacho. Kila utafiti, kila hoja, kila msitari ni mwanga gizani. HERI Africa, kila utafiti, kila hoja, kila msitari ni mwanga gizani. HERI Africa. HERI Africa umesimama kwa ujasiri, kwa nguvu na fikra katika utafiti, ubunifu wa mikakati kuendeleza elimu maabarani hadi viwandani. Mbegu mnayoipanda ni ya manufaa kwa kizazi hiki na kijacho. Mbegu mnayoipanda ni ya manufaa kwa kizazi hiki na kijacho. Kila utafiti, kila hoja, kila msitari ni mwanga gizani. HERI Africa, kila utafiti, kila hoja, kila msitari ni mwanga gizani. viwango vya elimu
kutoka 3% hadi 30%
katika nchi ya Kenya na Afrika nzima.
Kila utafiti mnaofanya baada ya uvumbuzi
utaimarisha viwango vya elimu
kutoka 3% hadi 30%
katika nchi ya Kenya na Afrika nzima. Mbegu mnayoipanda ni ya manufaa kwa kizazi hiki na kijacho. Mbegu mnayoipanda ni ya manufaa kwa kizazi hiki na kijacho. Kila utafiti, kila hoja, kila msitari
You can.
mwanga gizani. Heri Afrika, kila utafiti,
Hey. Rekea.
mwanga gizani. Heri Afrika,
Wow.
heri Afrika.
Sana. The dance.
Thank you, heri Afrika.
Daktari Nyangala twashukuru sana.
Thank you, heri Afrika.
Chancellor wote wa Kenya na waziri wetu wasema
Thank you, heri kwa utafiti mwafaka twawapongeza kwa kuimarisha viwango vya elimu 3% hadi 30% ndilo lengo letu. Heri Afrika, kwa utafiti mwafaka twawapongeza kwa kuimarisha viwango vya elimu 3% hadi 30% ndilo lengo letu. Heri Afrika.
Tafadhali Gema. Mmefanya kazi nzuri tena sana. Communication team, if you're ready. Ladies and gentlemen, documentary screening of HERI Africa. And at the same time, I would love to invite Professor Mike Korea to just be ready to take us through our overview of HERI Africa in a PowerPoint presentation. So communication skills, communication team, sorry, we are waiting for you to project that brief documentary.
The dream of raising educational research by Africans from 3% is a bold dream.
Across Africa, millions of young learners wake each day with the same question: will my education unlock my potential? Education research helps us understand how learning shapes life beyond the classroom. Yet less than 3% of global education research is led by African scholars. Much of what is studied is fragmented, underfunded, and disconnected from the communities it aims to serve.
I'm going to graduate in the next 1 year, but I have a fear that I may not be well equipped to face the job market, because what we do most is reading. We don't take a lot of time taking the teaching experience and practicum.
You are in school in the university for 4 years, and after that you shall be going to the world of work. But you only went to gain the practical skill for only 1 term, which comprises of 3 months. And I think it is more of theory-based than of the practical skills.
When research misses lived realities, policies and programs fail to deliver the impact they promise. In 2021, a bold question emerged. What if African researchers set the agenda? What if research was locally grounded, well-funded, and capable of transforming learning?
African researchers have a difficult time sometimes getting to this place. Not necessarily because the quality of research is bad, but because there isn't an opportunity to advance that particular research system.
The dream of raising educational research by Africans with Africa, for Africa, and letting Africa research also then illuminate the world.
By 2023, this momentum resulted in the Enhancing Education Research in Africa HERI project, bringing together over 200 stakeholders across the continent.
We went to different regions within Africa to consult with vice chancellors, university lecturers, policymakers, and really there was a firm sort of evidence-based process to understand who are the generators of the evidence, who are the users, what are their needs, priorities, how do we get the evidence to them, how do we get the funding to really focus on addressing societal issues.
Through consultations, they identified innovative ways to revitalize African education research agenda, mobilize local funding, strengthen institutions, and connect research to real-world decisions. In 2025, Kenya showed what this vision could look like in practice. Researchers, decision makers, universities, and partners came together to co-create a Kenyan-led research agenda based on the 8 recommendations from HERI, turning vision into action. Kenya became the proof of concept, a country shaping its education future using its own evidence.
So the question is, where are we as researchers and our own African perspectives in not just adapting what the rest of the world has produced, but a ground-up approach where we are using our own ideas and perspectives and culture to inform how we teach and how our children learn.
From this earlier work, HERI Africa was born. The ambition is bold and urgent.
And HERI is a nice name because despite that it's an acronym around harnessing, and education and research and impact, it's also the Kiswahili word for blessing, a good thing.
By 2035, African countries adopting this approach will have education systems shaped by African knowledge and delivering results that matter.
What excites me with HERI Africa is the opportunity to invest not only on research, but the whole chain between research and action that would lead to transformation within classrooms and improve learning outcomes.
By 2050, HERI Africa aims to mobilize $100 million deployed progressively to scale and sustain African-led research. In Kenya, stakeholders have developed NERA, the National Education Research Agenda, as part of HERI Africa. NERA will provide a government-owned framework to guide national education research priorities, coordination, and utilization across the sector.
HERI has supported that process in terms of compiling, looking at, for example, planning documents from various end users of research, to be able to synthesize what's that those documents are talking about that would benefit or that would constitute a research area or a research direction. And doing all that, then we bring it together, and that's what the document, and that's why the document is saying, hey, this is our national educational research agenda, because of the reaching out to very many players who use, not who generate or supply, but who use the evidence.
HERI Africa represents a shift in power, from extraction to ownership, from imported answers to locally grounded truth. When African researchers lead, evidence reflects lived realities and becomes relevant for policymakers, educators, and communities alike.
Without proper research, giving us proper data, giving us proper evidence, we who make policies in the dark. So it is so critical that the evidence that you gather from the research inform the policies that we are making.
Seeking a system through which we can support researchers to carry out education research in this country, and not only for the sake of publication, not only for the sake of getting degrees or qualifications and promotions, but to inform policy, to bring about transformation in this country.
HERI Africa is Africa-led, co-created, and built to last. We expect HERI Africa to result in stronger decisions, better curricula, and empowered teachers. That young researchers will be mentored to lead, and that learners will be supported by systems shaped by their own contexts. Join us. The real work begins now. Together, we are revitalizing Kenya's education research,
HERI is a nice name. It's also the Kiswahili word for blessing, a good thing.
HERI Africa, investing in locally led solutions and the African researchers who drive them.
Thank you very much.
The
A round
dream
of applause.
of raising educational research by Africans from 3%.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for our communication team for bringing us on board. Our chief guest, sir, allow me invite Professor Mike Kuria to just present briefly an overview of HERI Africa. Karibu sana, Professor.
Thank you very much. Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Education, I will ride on the protocols that have been read before me by my good friend and former classmate, Professor Ogechi. I want to just say one or two things even before I make the formal presentation. This morning when I woke up, I was struggling when I was packing to come for this conference. What kind of clothes should I wear? So this morning I came down wearing a kitenge shirt because I was thinking it's a formal occasion, but then again, it's about Africa. So maybe we should have had a dress code to say, let's come dress as Africans. But when I came downstairs, I found my friend John, and he doesn't usually wear a suit, but he had one. Luckily, I had also mitigated against that risk, so I went back and changed. What I was actually wearing was a dress code that my daughter doesn't like. She says that it makes me look like a leopard, because it's very flowery and has those colors of a leopard. I want to change that from a leopard to a tiger, that it makes me look like a tiger. The reason why I want to do that is because I want to connect it with HERI. You know, in the struggle against colonialism in Africa in the late 50s, 60s, as we were struggling for independence, there is a movement that came up at that particular time. It was called negritude. And negritude was pushed by some scholars, including Leopold Sedar Senghor. And they argued that we Africans have to assert ourselves. We have to say who we are. We should not be proud about, we should not be afraid of being African. And then came someone from Nigeria called Wole Soyinka. And Wole Soyinka told this group of people, you guys, a tiger, this is why I'm changing from leopard to tiger. He said, a tiger does not sing about its tigritude. It doesn't keep telling you it's a tiger. It just pounces. When it pounces, you know that it is a tiger. And in many ways, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's what HERI we are saying. We are not going to keep moaning about the paucity of research from Africa. We are not going to keep moaning about the paucity of funding from Africa. We are going to do something about it. Thank you very much. So in this presentation I make, I hope when you go home, you just remember that. And I like that word that we chose, HERI. We have been told by John that HERI is a nice Kiswahili word saying blessings. Some might even say it's better Africa. But if you come from Luoland, you also know it means something else. I used to have good friends in the university, so they taught me a few Luo words to use in case of emergency. You know it means that you love Africa. Huh? And so I see the ways in which this word has got multiple meanings, all of them showing a positive approach to what we are doing in Africa. So I present the project now with that in mind, HERI Africa. And I would like us to just, I'm sure many of the things I'm going to say have already been mentioned from the singing, from the people who have been there before me. But then again, from my field of literature, they told me that repetition is a good thing because repetition helps you to remember. That's why our oral literature in Africa would repeat something over and over again to help you to remember. And I think it's important that when we go home, we remember HERI Africa. So one of the things that we were thinking about is just
that idea of harnessing education research for impact in Africa. It's just been said before here that we don't want research that is in our shelves. In many times we have done research and all we want to do is get promoted for them, get recognized internationally, and get our names appearing in those journals. But what is that research doing in our institutions on the ground? Hence the word research. And there is a good reason why HERI has chosen to do this. If we cannot wait, look at the figures. 40% of the world's new workers will come from Africa by 2040. That's what statistics tell us. But what kind of people will those be? We keep talking about the demographic dividends. What are we likely to harvest from that populace? We were in a graduation recently at the NIRU. That's the National Intelligence and Research University. And the president repeated something which he has been saying, and I agree with him absolutely. He's been saying continuously, no nation can develop beyond its capacity to think. And I think this is what we are saying, that we in Africa have a capacity to think. And the universities have got a big role to play in that aspect. So 40% coming, if they come from Africa, we must think about that future global workforce. How will it look like? Number two, 40% of children complete primary school without foundational literacy and numeracy. So school, in many cases, is not translating into learning. So we are saying we want to focus on some of these problems that are facing us in Africa. 90% of employers say graduates lack skills needed for life and work. So how do we make education relevant? And I think from the skit that was here, you had a little bit of that. And then what has been repeated here many times, the 3% of education, global education research is led by African scholars, in spite of the fact that, if I'm not wrong, we are more than 20% of the world's population. Yet we are producing only 3%. This is not right. But we cannot continue moaning about it. We need to do something about it. That's what HERI is telling us to do. So there's some certain problems that we must solve. Africa's education research ecosystem faces structural challenges, such as the following. Number one, relevance. Research agenda is designed by funders, not by needs of systems, aspirations of young people. And there is a danger there, because if the funder shifts, then we have to shift, even though we have not finished on that particular project. We are saying we need to make sure that we keep focus. There is a statement that I've been making in some places, and some people don't quite like it. And I say, if you want to develop, what we must do is, first, number one, stop begging. By stopping begging, I don't mean stop collaborating. That's, I think, where people misunderstand. Realities that are not ours. Research should be driven by realities on the ground. This is what we are saying. Number three, communication. Less than 10% of research output reach policymakers or communities in usable formats. So research is done, but it doesn't translate to action on the ground. It doesn't translate to policy. It's one of the reasons why, as a Commission for University Education, we are really excited to be in this particular space and to support HERI, so that we can work together with the researchers to make sure that the ideas that come from research are translated into policy and then are translated into action on the ground. Then we begin to see transformation. Number four, institutions and researchers often lack advanced skills for rigorous analysis. So we would like to build the capacities of our universities. What we would like to see is this becoming systemic and structural. So it is not dependent on a few people. It is not dependent on us who are in positions now. You know, tomorrow there's going to be another CEO at the Commission for University Education. Tomorrow someone else will take over. In all the places that where you are in, you know, sometimes we don't like to think about we are going to exit the stage. We will exit the stage, either permanently or just partially from the position that you occupy. When that happens, what you don't want to do is that this thing dies. So we want it to be structural, systemic. That's one of the capacities that we are thinking about. And fifth, funding, up to 90% of African education research is self-funded or supported by foreign donors. So people are supporting themselves to do research, to achieve certain things. And we are saying it's important that research is also funded by us. So that's why we are very happy to see the likes of Safaricom, another local agency saying, look, this is our ecosystem, we want to support it. And we hope that number will continue growing so that eventually we will be able actually to set the research agenda. You have heard of that element that says, he who pays the piper calls the tune. And I don't blame them. If I was the one paying the piper, I would also like to blame them to play my tune. You know, one particular time I did oral research and we went to Luoland and you know, they play Nyatiti in some of the places. And when they play that song, all you do is that you come with money and you give them. And you tell them, stop what you're singing, sing about me now. And when you sing about me, this is what you say. We want that to stop so that we can also say what needs to be done. So we will, if we solve these problems, we will solve the question of low relevance, low funding, low productivity, and low impact. So research will be effective for our part of our world. So we are raising the question, what if African researchers set the agenda? And I'm very glad that we have already identified certain chairs. We have seen the problems that we are, and we are establishing those chairs to deal with those problems that we see happening. So we are setting the agenda. If we do that, we continue to see a transformation of society. And we believe that that's going to be the case. So the vision and mission of HERI is to see a transformed African education research ecosystem that is relevant, impactful, and sustainable. And the mission is to strengthen the capacity of university-based early career and female researchers, promote gender equality, ground research in local realities, and democratize funding through African governments. So we like the idea, Waziri, about the commitment to move to 2%. We think this is one of the ways in which to democratize funding and to also make sure that we are at the helm of it. So we really appreciate that idea. The principles. These have been mentioned, actually, they were listed, but as I said, repetition is not a bad thing. It helps us remember. So this is what the comedian who listed, these are the issues they listed. They said, we want to be African-led, which means priorities set by Africans for Africans. In the last meeting, that one I mentioned where the president spoke, he also added something else, and I also liked it. That we should not just solve problems for Africa, we should also solve problems for the rest of the world. There are some things that we do that will have impact for the rest of the world. So our focus must not only be in Africa, and we must see that our impact, that's how we become global scholars. That's how we have global impact. So we're going to see that. Number two, co-creative, solutions designed with governments, researchers, and communities. So we co-create this issue so that we are not just flying in and flying out, but we do it together. Number three, localized, grounded in real African experience. We are doing it from in our ground, and we are using our own theory and frameworks. Number four, long-term, built to last. We are not, that's why I said we don't want to consider this as a project. We want to see it as something long-term, and we want to see it beyond ourselves. And you see it beyond yourself as well, so that we affect not this generation, but other generations that are going to come in the future. It is inclusive. So one of the targets here is to make sure that gender and disability, this research is responsive to the issues of gender inequity, disability, and I think we can extend it to other areas where people have become marginalized, and we are saying bring them on the table. I think some of you might remember that news item that was shown some time ago with some kid studying at a lamppost in northern Kenya, and at the same time some others in very highly technologized classrooms using AI to study. You can see the disparity. So some of these disparities we'd like to deal with them. And the last one, context aware, aligned with social and political realities. So what are we going to do in order to make sure that that happens? HERI Africa is a Pan-African collaborative initiative. What we would like to do is, number one, develop and institutionalize a national education research agenda. So develop it, institutionalize it. We have set three chairs, but the thinking is that this will grow. So we'll have more chairs from other universities. And not only that, there will be more chairs from outside Kenya in other parts of the world, so that we're also training for a global market, but also so that our students can also go to those centers and come back with experiences from those particular areas. Number two, we strengthen research capacity, whether it's at individual level, institutional, or even systemic. I think I've already addressed that issue. Number three, we establish research chairs in priority education areas, as has been mentioned already. There's one here on language. There is one on early skills at Kenyatta and mathematics at Embu, and we hope there will be more coming up in the course of the time. Number four, democratize research communication so that the research also gets to people. One of the tragedies of research is that it is done, it's communicated at that high level, and the people who need it never see the results. I liked a concept I saw in Germany where they bring top scientists, you know, like neurosurgeons and all those, you can imagine, space scientists, and then they bring some small kids in primary school or even lower. And they tell, here are the children, tell them what you do. So you have to translate that knowledge to that level so that they can understand. This is what we are saying, that research needs to be disseminated and in a way that is understood by the people who need it and who need to make decisions. Number five, mobilize and localize funding for Africa-led research. So we would like to see funding coming from both locally and abroad and elsewhere, but coming mobilized research so that we solve that problem. So if we do this, what this will do, it will move research from production to policy and societal impact. That's the idea. Ladies and gentlemen, how do we think success? How will we measure success? How do we know we have succeeded? HERI has set itself some very specific targets so that in future, you also can be able to say, you guys launched this thing, what have you achieved? So we are telling you what we are targeting. We are targeting that by 2028, research informs national education reforms. So there should be some reforms that take place as a result of the research taking place in these centers. Evidence influences at least 3 policies. By 2028, I know some of you are going to say only 3, but that's just 2028. We'll go to many others as time goes by. Number 3, a vibrant community of 300 plus research communicators so that that communication takes place. Number 4, education research fund mobilizing local resources so that we are not dependent only from outside. By 2050, we are hoping that Africa shapes global education theory. Now that brings you to what I just said a little bit earlier, that we don't seek to only make impact in Kenya, we would like to also make impact outside Kenya. We'd like to be fed outside Kenya. You know, Kenya, we have brilliant people. But someone was telling us the other day that one of the problems that we have is that we are always talking about potential. Kenya has the potential, has the great potential. But when will this potential be translated to something that can be seen and felt by other people? This is the question that we are asking ourselves, and we are saying as HERI, we have an idea how we could make that happen. Number 2, research is locally funded and locally led, so that mobilizing of resources will be there. Number 3, indigenous knowledge informs global discourse, so that we don't have people fighting knowledge that can come from these areas. There is a lot of indigenous knowledge that is not tapped. And some people sometimes come from outside, they tap. We were talking with the gentleman from Kenya, and he listed the many things that have been, the IP has been registered by other people, but they actually came from here. But we didn't do it in time, other people took it, and they went. So, but that indigenous knowledge then gets lost because it is being patented by someone else. But we're saying that needs to stop, it needs to come from here. Education systems improve through evidence. Just what Waziri was saying a little bit earlier. When we don't give data, we make policies without data, we are flying blind. And we want that to stop. We want to fly with at least some good vision. If that happens, ladies and gentlemen, HERI Africa will become a structural transformation of Africa's education research ecosystem. This is what we want to do. The pathway that's going to be used for this process, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have a national research agenda. It's co-created through a participatory process, widely shared, owned and regularly updated. Capacities of institutions and early career researchers and other key research stakeholders strengthened. Research communication capacities are strengthened. Research chairs are contextualized and established in universities to unlock university-led research. Robust mechanisms are set up to decolonize research and increase funding for education and gender-responsive strategies. And research will be relevant, productive, used, and impactful at scale, equitably and sustainably, so that all of us benefit from this. So by 2050, we hope that 30% of global education outputs should come from Africa. Why not? If we are 30% of the world, why not 30% of the research? That can happen. That's the dream that we have. And education research should significantly inform policies, theory, university research agendas, schools, and communication across Africa. The legacy we would like to leave behind, ladies and gentlemen, is that we want to transform learning. Millions of African learners will benefit from evidence-led education, policies, improved curricula, and strengthened teacher capacity, so that people are learning things that are useful to them. When I went to school, and many of you went to school, some of you went to school during the time that I also went to school, a few of you at least. I'm told that now our population demographic is that we are only a small part of the population. But those of you who are in that small population remember how education was during our days. They thought they could drive mathematics through Ken. So if you failed 5 months, they caned you 5 times. But we are saying there must be a better way of approaching education. We must rethink these things here. So we transform learning completely. And the movement to competence-based education in our part of the world, if we do it properly, will help us move towards that direction. Number 2, expand youth opportunities. Pathways from education to employment and entrepreneurship will grow, opening doors for the next generation. And the third is that drive inclusive prosperity. We hope that other African countries will adopt HERI research to improve policy and practices across the continent. And once again, there are some targets here, ladies and gentlemen, that I just mentioned a little bit before, but you can see them again. So we are now doing number 1 there. We are launching HERI here. We have 3 research chairs already operationalized. We have a monitoring and evaluation system from which we learn, and that system we want to be embedded. We have already done that. By 2028, I just mentioned some of the areas in which we would like to see impact, so that we have these 1,000 communication outputs, 200 plus publications, 100 plus trained researchers, and institutional governance structure in place. And by 2050, we hope that 30% of research can come from our part of the world. So ladies and gentlemen, what we are launching today, we are launching here in Kenya, but we see it as a Pan-African something. Kenya will probably provide the proof point. We hope that we do an excellent job. Kenya is known for good, but we need to do an excellent job so that everybody can always reference this great thing that happened from Kisii University, where it was launched and has multiplied to the rest of the Africa, and who knows, even to the rest of the world. Why not? We hope that we can leverage on regional learning. We want to spread completely, not just from Anglophone, but also to Francophone areas. And we hope that by 2030, at least 5 countries would have joined HERI. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are saying here today is that we, if we come together and leverage on the resources that we have, both human and financial, we can help transform this country. We can help transform Africa. That's what HERI would like to do, and I'm very glad to see that these stakeholders that you see on the screen have come here to work together for that purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Mike. for bringing us to speed about the achievements and the dream you have for HERI. Our chief guest, sir, allow me bring to stage Dr. Moses Ngware from National Education Research Organization to bring us the National Education Research Agenda. We'll take a very brief moment to just do an oral presentation. Karibu Daktari. Let's applaud him even as he comes.
Good morning, everyone. Our chief guest, we meet again. And again, allow me to write on the protocols that were observed. Earlier, I think my business is to tell you a little bit about the National Education Research Agenda. So my name is Moses Ngware, and I work for the African Population and Health Research Center. We do research, including in education, and we do it in Kenya and of 34 other African countries. But our headquarters is here in Nairobi, so I'm Kenyan. Now, I'll try not to repeat, and before I say that, Ogechi said that I confirm whether he was in class. I can confirm, and that's why I'm calling him Ogechi. And I'll call him Mike. And, they are professors, so I'm not a professor. They left me behind because I decided to follow John Mogo and Sarah Ruto. And I missed being a professor, but we can talk about that later. So, but then let's go back to the National Education Research Agenda. And I'll say only three things. The first one is the whole issue of impact as to why do we need a National Education Research Agenda, and allow me to call it NERA. Why do we need a NERA? I think the most important thing there, and it was mentioned, and it had been mentioned by many, is all about creating impact that is targeted. And I like, and I'll paraphrase what the chief guest said about making decisions based on darkness. And Mike did say we need to stop that. So NERA is one way of helping us move to the direction that we want to move to. That's the only thing I'll add on that. My second point is, and this is where I want to spend a little more time, but not a lot, how did we come up with NERA? You know, in Kenya, there is something that we call public participation. And if you don't do that, you know what happens, eh? So how did we come up with NERA? The first thing we did was to look at who is the user of the evidence. That's the first question we asked ourselves. So we went to the users, we looked at their documents, we looked at their strategic plan, we looked at the memos, and we analyzed all that information. But who are those users? We focused more on the agencies that are within the sector, the education sector. And they can confirm, almost all of them. And we brought out what is that they would like to do, what is that evidence, what is that research that they would like to generate. So that was the starting point. And then the second thing that we did, still in that process, is to actually say, okay, we put it together, how do we know that this is okay, that this is correct? So what we did is, again, facilitated by the Commission for University Education, is to bring those stakeholders in the same room like this one and say, this is what we saw, this, when we looked at the documents, this is what we found. Does it resonate? Are there gaps? And we went through that process and we enriched the NERA. And in addition to that, we also did prioritization. That if you are asked tomorrow to jump into the education research, what are those 2, 3, 4 things that we need to start with? So the NERA document that's gonna be unveiled today also has that list of these are the priorities for education research. And again, in terms of the validation, you are familiar with the Education Evidence for Action, EE4A conference that Professor Mugendi and other colleagues in Embu are happy to facilitate and host last year, and again, the chief guest was also the chief guest there, okay? We also validated, and remember there were very many faculty during that conference. The deans were more than 50. So we do think and feel that, and there are many other stakeholders, we do think and feel that the document that we're gonna unveil today is reasonably good, and it captures the things that we need to do in terms of thematic areas, sub-themes, and also priorities. But then, we cannot capture everything, and everyone knows that, okay? So we are saying this is a living document, and that through the CUE and the other stakeholders, it will be updated time and again, and a mechanism will be created on how to keep revising it and enriching it. But it has 9 key thematic areas. Each of those 9, they have sub-themes, and we also have priorities, and I would encourage you after the unveiling to actually access it, and we try to use it. Most importantly, remember, and it was said here, we are setting our own agenda. So that's what we are calling our own agenda. So some of the things that were shared here that we want to do, they are already being done, and we are trying to achieve some of those things. And the NERA is an instrument that is helping us do that. So that's what I wanted to communicate in terms of the process and how we ended up with the NERA, okay? But I cannot sit down without making my usual ask to the chief guest. I did one in Embu about funding education research, and you gave us a Professor Dixon is a very good man, and he's taking care of that, and I'm sure he can account for it. But today I have another ask. This one is very small, has nothing to do with money. For this work to be unpacked, we need universities to do research, right? And we all agree on that, isn't it? Right now, thank you for acknowledging that. Right now, we know we're doing a lot of teaching, isn't it? And I know universities and vice chancellors are here, and they are trying their best to allocate the time and the resources to research. But my ask is that we implement that, I wouldn't say it's a requirement, but that policy that says you have to do research in the university, and that this percentage of time needed to be ring-fenced for the faculty to do research. So that's my ask, because you can help us have that implemented by the universities, because Dixon is there and has money, but we are not utilizing it. HERI is there, and I'm told by John that it has money, and we need people to use that money. So if we don't ring-fence faculty time to do research, it's unlikely that we're gonna hit the target that we want to hit. So that is my ask, chief guest. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Dr. Moses Ngware, we can give him a round of applause. We agree with you, sir, and the chief guest has heard our plea. Allow me say that in the house we have partners, and I want to request that call upon these partners to just say hi and give a brief remark as much as possible. You can just do 1 minute. Imaginable Futures, we have Mr. Sam Mugacha and Dr. Laila. I think one of you could just come and say something, just say hi, just brief remark. And after him, we'll have Safaricom Foundation, Dr. Henry Kilonzo. So kindly, wherever you are, prepare brief remark. Thank you, sir, for agreeing to have a brief remark.
Thank you very much, everyone. Your Excellency, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Honorable Julius Migos Ogamba, distinguished guests, and similar to my fellow colleagues riding on all protocols observed, good morning. Is it morning? Yes. I'm very proud to be here today as Imaginable Futures, representing the global funding community, and riding on all the statistics that you've had here today. For us, it's really important that those who are central to the problem, who live in wherever they are, they have the grounded experience to be able to actually come up with the solutions that can help us solve the problems that we have. So even as we talk about it being done by Africa, for Africa, with Africans, it is not being selfish. It is having that perspective that those who are waking up and have children and have nephews and nieces who are in these schools and are seeing what is happening are the ones who are most present and able to solve the challenges that we have today. And this journey did not start today. It started all the way in 2021. And at this point, I'd love to acknowledge the global funding community who are very patient and supported this for the long haul to get us to this level. I'd love to thank Gates Foundation, Echidna Giving, represented by Dr. Sarah Ruto, our host, and others, and I'm told some of them are actually online, like Co-Impact, so I really want to appreciate them for attending this. And allow me to give a special thanks to Echidna Giving, Sarah Ruto, our host, because we wouldn't have gotten here even as Imaginable Futures without the late nights, the discussions, the meetings, and the convening that we had in Limuru with some of the key stakeholders that you're seeing here, Professor Mike Kuria, Dr. John Mugo, Professor Gechi, and even Embu Vice Chancellor. And I'd love to offer two challenges very quickly, one to the government and one to the wider philanthropic sector. And it's a very respectful challenge, Honorable CS. Given that education is central to our national development agenda, we know, and everyone is saying here, that education research must actually be embedded within our education's budget as core infrastructure. We've heard here that it is, if it's whoever pays the paper, calls the tune. And if we let it all be done externally, then we'll get back to where we were. So and as Imaginable Futures, we firmly believe that we are not coming to dictate, we are coming to set the stage together with the Echidna Giving. And so this must be ingrained for it to be sustained. And to philanthropy, let us look beyond classrooms and programs alone. Infrastructure matters, we agree, and access matters. And school fees and sponsorships matter, we are not saying that. But for us to have lasting change beyond that one person, I think it's investments in systems such as education research that can really make the difference, so that you're not there all the time giving handouts. And that's what we are trying to do with this initiative. And with that, allow me to take this opportunity to also ask Laila, our Vice President and Head of Kenya Programs, to just say a hi, and then we really appreciate you and thank you all for being here.
Good morning, all protocols observed. On behalf of our agenda, myself and Dr. Ruto, we got the memo about the African, the African wear. In the spirit of negritude, as mentioned by Professor Kuria, I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is to, of course, echo the celebration of everybody who has worked so hard for us to be here today. But in addition to that, in response to the challenge we've been given today, I would like to go ahead and offer that in addition to all the funding partnerships that we have had, we'd like to really push and invite you to come on board in this commitment that we have made to fund local research. In order to push that forward, the first commitment that I would like to make on behalf of Imaginable Futures is that we are going to be working with you, and we would like to support HERI further, to actually do an initiative on capacity building for communicating research. And you know, in the US, higher education is under attack, and we have seen even Harvard University and others really struggling to explain to the people how this research translates into value for their real lives. So it's a skill set that is not just a Kenyan challenge, it is something that researchers across the world have to learn and build the skill to be able to tell the normal mwananchi what that research is doing for them. So we have a program coming up. We'd like to co-design it with you to make sure that that communications piece is also embraced. The second thing is really to the funders among us. If you're wondering and still on the fence about whether to come on board on this initiative, we want to offer an amount of $200,000, about 26 million, that we will match any money you put in 1-to-1. So please take this opportunity. If we put it together, it means that we can come up with 52 million towards this initiative. We've already made that challenge. Bring your money and we will match it. Thank you so much. As we have heard, this is the beginning, just the beginning. Thank you very much. All the best. And congratulations.
Allow me to call another partner, Dr. Henry Kilonzo from Safaricom Foundation. Will be followed very closely with HERI Africa Foundation, Dr. Kahaki Kimani. Kindly, just brief remarks, kindly. Thank you so much.
Honorable Cabinet Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. All protocols observed. Professor Mike, you are not alone in the morning. I did not have my tie. It was in my laptop bag. So I got into the council chambers and I found my brother, Dr. Mugo, in a tie. I said, this is serious. I had to go back for my tie. Yeah, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here representing my colleague, Karen Basie, who is a member of the HERI Steering Committee, and our Director, Sustainable Business and Social Impact at Safaricom and M-Pesa Foundations. And I head programs at both foundations. Honorable Cabinet Secretary, our purpose at Safaricom is very simple but bold, transforming lives. And we do this through investing in education, health, conservation, water, and humanitarian response. But why do we invest in education? Because it is the greatest equalizer. Because we are in Kisii, Honorable Cabinet Secretary, allow me just to mention that here in Kisii, we are investing at Kisii Primary School. We're investing at SDA Nyangororo Primary School. We are at St. Charles Nyangororo, and another school, Embu Baseki, something, that language of this region. And this is at a tune of around 220 million Kenya shillings. And what we are doing is total renovation of the school, knocking the schools down and rebuilding. And we work closely with the Ministry of Education, and thank you very much for the support. As far as the university is concerned, and I'm happy that my colleague Nicholas Wechuli and started a conversation on a potential collaboration to explore TVET's innovation hubs here in Kisii University, because we are already working with 7 universities in this country, and I'm happy Professor Mogenda is here. We just launched a 254 million project in a University of Embu last Friday. Now, all the investments that we do as Safaricom and M-Pesa Foundation, as we do this, we must ask ourselves a question. Are we guided by the right evidence, and are we translating knowledge to impact? And this is the reason we, as M-Pesa and Safaricom Foundation, are partnering with HERI and our role in its steering committee. As M-Pesa and Safaricom Foundation, we see this not just as participation, but as shared responsibility to ensure research drives real transformation. We all know that Kenyans produce significant education research, yet much of it, as we know and has been said, remains within the academic cycles. We see limited translation to policy, mentorship, classroom practice, and system-wide reform. In other words, we see limited HERI, or limited harnessing education research for impact. Research must move beyond publication into implementation. And this morning, in our conversation with Honorable CS, I mentioned about how the private sector has high appetite for risk-taking, but we also take risks to invest based on evidence. We learn, we unlearn, and we are able to move on. So if we are able to have significant improvements in education, definitely research comes in to support the risks that all the stakeholders, including funders, will make. To achieve this, we need stronger collaboration government, academia, private sector, and development partners, and communities must co-create a national education research agenda, which is grounded in real needs. I encourage HERI to continue mobilizing support from Kenyan philanthropy and the private sector and bringing us on board as key stakeholders in this noble cause. Honorable CS, one of the speakers mentioned and said that he had a request. And kindly allow me, on behalf of HERI and partners here, to also make a request. What if the ministry, led by you, Honorable CS, convened a funders collaborative for research in Kenya? I think the response will be significantly higher, and we will have a common agenda and also see interests or areas of convening where we can continue to support research in this country. We all know KEMRI and the other health institutions that do a lot of research. And we see what that research has translated, for example, to treatment of malaria and also reducing the cost of malaria treatment. What if we had such centers of excellence in this country that have significant impact in education in this country? That means research is used not for graduate, for somebody to get a PhD, but for somebody to transform the lives of a community sustainably. As I finish, ultimately, our research must answer two questions. One, how do we improve learning today? And how do we prepare young people for an uncertain future? Safaricom and our foundations, we value strategic partnerships, bringing together innovation and purpose. We find alignment of interests that we will pursue mutually for our Kenyan society. And the Honorable CS, 2 weeks ago, we had a co-creation meeting with HERI and another partner called Usawa Agenda to explore on how best we can come in and support this initiative. We find alignment of interests that we as M-Pesa and Safaricom Foundation will pursue mutually for our Kenyan society. Let us move from research to results, evidence to action, and ideas to measurable impact. The future of our children depends on the choices that we make today. I thank you all.
Thank you very much. Foundation. And now we have HERI Africa Foundation. Karibu sana Daktari Kahaki Kimani. Karibu sana from HERI Africa Foundation.
Honorable CS, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, good morning. I stand here really thanking the State Department of Higher Education and Commission for University Education for opening government doors to recognize the contribution of civil society in education and value we bring to HERI. We are honored as HERI Africa to have been given the role of coordinating resource mobilization as we hope to transition the pooled funding of National Research Fund when the time is ripe. I would like to recognize the funders who first stepped forward to support HERI, like Kidna Giving and Imaginable Futures, and also the National Research Fund. I also thank all the funders that have entertained conversations with us, including Safaricom, M-Pesa Foundations, Gates Foundation, and the many others who are attending this launch online for being always supportive. I would like to underscore the role of private sector and African philanthropy in moving this agenda forward. We welcome them to the table for the valuable contribution they bring to this partnership. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate the beautiful Kisii University and the Ministry of Education, and all HERI partners for such a beautiful and successful launch. We as HERI Africa are firm to support HERI Africa in diligently pursuing the role we have been given, and we thank you for giving us this opportunity. Asanteni.
Daktari Purity Fadhali from the National Gender Equality Commission. Okay, we can to another.
Online, go.
University, I'm lucky that Dr. John Mogo did not influence me, that he influenced Professor Kuria. So I'm very flourish in Africa with the spirit of the HERI, harnessing education research for impact in Africa. Allow me to say, CS, that your presence at this launch for me is a very powerful statement that deserves to be celebrated, because it sends a very clear message that both the present and the future decisions in education must be anchored in research, evidence, and knowledge. And for this, for sure, your CS, I celebrate you and I thank you. Last year, I had the privilege, Cabinet Secretary, of launching the National Gender Research Agenda for Kenya. And I'm happy that you are the chief guest on our launch on 10th of December. The Gender Research Agenda was developed to guide gender-focused research for the next 5 years. And most importantly, it is not created in isolation. It was designed to complement the national sector priorities. In this sense, Cabinet Secretary, the Gender Research Agenda is not separate from the National Education Research Agenda at the HERI that has been spoken about. It is a subset within it. It ensures that we generate education evidence, and as we do so, it will be deliberate because it will be focused on matters of equality, matters of equity, to ensure that all girls, all persons with disability, children that have been left behind for many years from ASO regions, and those affected by poverty and displacement are not left behind, that their voices will be emphasized and they will be brought in the national conversation. This approach, Cabinet Secretary, for the National Gender and Equality Commission is not just theoretical. We are leading the way. Last year, we collaborated with your ministry and the Office of the President and conducted a research in 19 counties covering 242 schools to establish the status of girls' education in ASO regions. The findings were very clear. The challenges in the sector are not gender neutral. Barriers such as poverty, insecurity, harmful practices, and school-related violence affect learning differently for girls and boys, and therefore require evidence-based that is targeted and that has a gender lens. We must say that research should actually not remain in shelves. And just to echo and reiterate what Professor Kuria said, we did a desktop review last year, Cabinet Secretary, to establish who is doing research and what kind of research is being conducted and how is it influencing policy. And what we found out is that 50% or thereabout of the research is being conducted in universities. But what shocked us is that only about 1% of that research is actually informing policy. And I hope then that HERI will not only support evidence generation, but they're going to help us answer the questions, why is our research, especially from universities, not being utilized by policymakers like ourselves and yourself, Cabinet Secretary? Is it that the depth of, is it because of the depth? I don't know. Is it because of the scope? Or is it that it is not aligned to government priorities such as MTEF or better? If HERI can answer these questions, in my opinion, it will become our greatest then advisors, especially for universities, for students, on what kind of research is needed and how relevant can we be to ensure that our research aligns with the government policies. And for me, if we want an education system that is inclusive, that is safe, that is future ready, then our research must be inclusive targeted, and future-oriented. And therefore, I congratulate the ministry for partnering with non-state actors and development partners to make this a long-term movement. I thank you and follow us to see what we are doing with the National Gender Research Agenda for Kenya for the next 5 years. Asante sana.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ngina. The CEO, National Research Fund, Professor Dickson Andala. Let's appreciate him even as he comes to give his brief remarks. Professor.
Our chief guest, CS Bonogamba, let me ride on the already established protocol and indicate that the research agenda in Kenya has been raised a notch higher. We as National Research Fund, we are very delighted at the lifting of, or at the creation of a new state department, the State Department of Science, Research and Innovation. And this has been moved from the Minister of Education to the Principal Cabinet Secretary, bringing it closer to where resources are found, which is the Office of the President. And we need to push a little bit more to ensure now the resources trickle down to our researchers. And what we are doing as HERI, this is what we need to do more. We need to shout and make a case for why you should fund research. Given we have CBC now, and we are going to carry out research through, education research through this HERI program, we are going to inform how policy is going to drive the future generations. Secondly, allow me to mention, as National Research Fund, because our core mandate is to mobilize resources and fund research, we are putting 30 million into the HERI program. And we were challenged. I hope now that's going to be matched. So it's at 60 now. Finally, allow me to thank our CS. Our CS has been passionate in pushing the research agenda. And he challenged me when we were in Embu to put in money. And I think I've delivered. Now from 30, it's going to 60 million. With those few remarks, I want to thank you all and congratulate Kisii University, more particularly for having, of course, recognition that you can work at a university focused only on research, as well as follow the direction of teaching. So I think other universities will follow suit, whereby promotion should be based on research, not by the number of students you are teaching or the units you are teaching at the university. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor. At this point, allow me invite the DVC Academic Student Affairs, Professor Wanyama, to come and recognize our guests, and also invite the Chair of the Public University, Professor Daniel Mgendi, and the representative of the Chair of Private Universities, Professor Damian, to just say hi to us, and then invite the Chair of the Council. Karibu, Prof.
Okay. Thank you. Our chief guest and all protocols observed. Chief guest, a grand idea is being born. And I wish I could name everybody who is witnessing this. But since I'm unable, allow me to recognize some of our guests who are witnessing this that were not mentioned by our Vice Chancellor. So in the House, we have Professor Moses Poipoi, representing the Vice Chancellor, Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. We have also in the House, Sister Professor Lando, representing the Vice Chancellor, Daystar University. We have Dr. Anthony Somba, representing the Vice Chancellor, Kabarak University. we have Dr. Caroline Intaka from Kisii University. We have from Chuka University, the Dean, School of Education. Thank you very much. And finally, I saw Dr. Pauline Ngimwa. She's from there. She's from the Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, a Pan-African non-profit organization that is supporting higher education in Africa. And some of the things that are being discussed here, I think, Pauline, you have been working on this. If you can join this, we'll really appreciate. With that, I should also recognize that Nazarene University is in the house. Somebody, I didn't get the name. There you are. Thank you very much for joining us on this auspicious occasion. But let me repeat that a grand idea has been born. And we would appreciate if everybody could join this initiative and further our research. Allow me to invite Professor Caroline Thorua from Kenyatta University to make her remarks. Kindly applause her as she comes.
Thank you. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, Honorable Julius Ogambo, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. On behalf of Kenyatta University, I'm honored to join you in celebrating the launch of HERI Africa and to congratulate Kisii University for hosting this historic milestone for education research in Kenya and across Africa. We particularly commend the leadership of the Ministry of Education for championing evidence-based reform and creating the enabling environment for initiatives such as HERI Africa to take root, grow, and serve national development. Today marks more than the launch of a program. It signals a shift toward Africa-led research and response to our realities, strengthens policies, and secures the future for our young people. And as Professor Wangari Maathai once said, it's the little things citizens do that will make the difference. In the same spirit, my little things is planting trees. In the same spirit, HERI Africa is planting the seeds of strong research systems, seeds that will grow into evidence-based policies, empowered youth, and lasting national prosperity. Kenyatta University is deeply grateful and proud to host one of the 3 inaugural research chairs, the Research Chair on Life Skills and Value Education. Together with Kisii University and the University of Embu, we are privileged to serve as anchor institutions of this transformative initiative. Our commitment as Kenyatta University is practical and firm. We have provided the dedicated office and resources and appointed Professor Jacqueline Nyerere, supported by other staff at Kenyatta University to ensure excellence, accountability, and results. We at Kenyatta University are fully prepared and support the success of HERI Africa. We express our appreciation to our partners and implementing agencies whose bold vision is strengthening Africa's research leadership and knowledge sovereignty. Kenyatta University proudly commits to this journey of nurturing inclusive research leadership and ensuring education research serves society in real time. Thank you very much, and may HERI Africa flourish across Kenya and the continent.
Thank you very much. In addition to the organizations have acknowledged, we also have in the house Professor Helen Iyega from the University of Nairobi. So University of Nairobi is in the house. And we also have Dr. Pauline from ESA. ESA is Education Sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you for joining us. And allow me, Chief Guest, to invite a representative for, or a chair for private universities in Kenya, just to greet the congregation. You are there? Okay, just saying hi. Thank you. Thank you very much. And then allow me to invite the chairperson of the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Public Universities, Professor Daniel Mugendi, to make your remarks here.
Our chief guest this morning, the Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Education, our guest this morning, and all protocols observed. I want to say we as public universities are very excited because of what is happening here today. And as a testament to this, we've said this is only the beginning. And we want to assure you, Cabinet Secretary, that the public universities are ready. What we are starting here at Kisii University is something big. And if you consider even the budgets that are coming with this research that we are referring today, is not, they are not small budgets. But we want to promise that we are equal to the task and that we will deliver. Our chief guests, you are informed that we are starting initially with 3 chairs, one here at Kisii University, another one at the University of Embu that will be dealing with the mathematics and education, and another one at Kenyatta University. And then we'll move to 2 others. But the idea, as we've already seen, we hope by the end of the year we'll have moved to 5 chairs and then eventually 10 chairs as we move on. But I want to say for us, at the public university, and indeed as I said this morning in the briefing meeting that we had with the CS, for a long time, research in this country has been done at end. But now we are changing that so that we are determining what it is that we need to be researching on. And therefore the agenda is set by ourselves, and we are addressing issues that are pertinent to our country and issues that affect us. And therefore, we want to believe our chief guest that this research that we are carrying out will be impactful, and no wonder then we are calling it HERI, Harnessing Research for Impact. So that is where we are going, and I want to say that we are very, very excited, and we can't wait to see this happen. And we, as public universities, we are very, very prepared. I want to say for sure at the University of Embu, we are leaving no stone unturned to ensure that this initiative at the University of Embu succeeds. And so is Kisii University, and you've already seen that for yourself, and so is Kenyatta University. And I'm sure all the others that will come on board. So thank you very much, CS, again, for being with us here this morning. And we want to trust that the ministry and the government will continue to support this effort that is being put together by some of our private sponsors, so that also the government will have a stake in what we are doing. And we are very, very happy with the Director of National Research Fund and the promise that he has made here. He has 60 million, but we hope we can make it bigger. And as we think of the 2% GDP that will be committed to research, we are closely watching that space. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Allow me to recognize also the presence of Dr. Nzuili Kidhome from Kenya Institute of Special Education. Really? Yeah. Thank you very much. Chief guest, allow me to invite the Vice Chancellor, Kisii University, who will take over the program from there. Vice Chancellor, please.
Mpigie makofi, huyu jamaa akienda kuketi. We have not recognized somebody that we talked about. You know, we are talking about CBE all this time, and we have not recognized the man who is assisting us to prepare ourselves, and we should be inviting him here to talk to us. In the house is Professor Charles Ongondo, the CEO of Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. He'll also tell you that I used to teach at Moi University. We used to work together. Before I invite the Chair of Council, Chief guest, allow me to invite our mother. We are a baby of Egerton University. They celebrated 86 years last week, and we were there. Now that our mentor, our mother is here, if he can greet us, just greet us, and then we invite the Chair of Council, Professor Isaac Kibwage. Mpige makofi. Peter hivi. Okay. Now that I wanted him to say a word, but he has saluted. He'll speak later. Can now invite the Chair of Council, Kisii University, Dr. Sarah Cherop Ruto, to give her remarks. Just continue encouraging her. Just continue encouraging her until she gets here.
Our chief guest, Mheshimiwa Honorable CS, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen who are here, good afternoon. It is really, really a warm pleasure to be here to have you all in this occasion. And I must say I'm a very, very happy person. And this is because my day-to-day job, where I work at a kidney giving, has hit a good intersection and a confluence with also my governance role as the chair of Kisii University Council. And so when that happens, you feel good because the work is all building up together. I want to start in my identity as the chairperson of Kisii University Council. And first of all, to appreciate the council, Bwana CS, that you appointed for us. It's a good council, and a council that keeps us on the toes, is very committed to the university and to also ensuring that the university plays its role as a leading institution informing policies of this country. So thank you very much, council members, and please stand up because you can see they are all here because this is something that we said we wanted to do as Asanteni council members. I also want to thank another board that I used to sit in, but I since moved, and this is the board of HERI Africa Foundation. Because as you have heard, they are anchoring the money. They are babysitting the funds, leading in the resource mobilization, especially with the global community, funders like Imaginable Futures, and many others who are not in this room. And they have been able to bring the funds together. And I know that that is a board that also had to sit and prepare its own policies to ensure that they actually babysit these funds so that they are transferred later on to you, 60 million, You know, the money that will come will be good money. Now, I'm sure the money that will receive it will even be bigger money because it is money from the Treasury. So Kisii Africa Foundation Board, I know you all came, and that is to show again the governance, why it's so important to have the governance right, because it assures the leadership. Kisii Africa Board, do you want to stand? Led by the chairperson, Dr. Kahaki was here. I don't know. Dr. Kahaki is the chairperson and the board. I will not talk too much because everybody has stated why we are here, why research is so important. And this is a journey, as Sam said, that began when I think it was Imaginable Futures, Gates Foundation, Echidna Giving, and somebody else. And Porticus. These were the 4 global funders that came together with a conference, and I like the name of the conference. It was thinking about educational research by Africa, for Africa, with Africa. I just want to stress that even though this work is starting in Kisii University, it is burgeoning in Kenya. It is not a local agenda only. We must remember that though we are based here, and our research, our work must speak to our communities, we are also thinking for Africa. So we must always remember we are locally rooted, but outward looking. Because the jobs we want are going to be for our children, but our children, we are preparing them to also work in Uganda, Tanzania, and beyond. Because also European communities, American communities, prepare their own children to come to our continent. Why must we also not prepare ours to be global facing? So our research is really important to give us this global facing agenda. And as Kisii University, now I'm going to be speaking in my dual identities. I think you will have seen what the Vice Chancellor said, and as the governance, we are really committed to making this work. Where my day-to-day job is as Echidna Giving, we are also committed. We will not be able to make the promises that Imaginable Futures made, but we are committed to continuing to fund this work in collaboration with others. It has to be in collaboration, because it is when you collaborate that big things happen. And so this is an ecosystem in which if we all play our role, I think we continue to build it. And in Echidna Giving in particular, we are really happy to see that gender and gender equity is featuring. You will have noted that when the program began, other than the MC, and so the MC, you are going to continue to be our MC until we see other women who are also coming in. Because other than the MC, it was just men talking, men talking, men talking, men talking. Until Laila came, and then Kahaki, and then Professor Thorua. And then I began to say, now I'm beginning to feel at home. And so gender is very important because this is a world made of boys and girls, male and female. So we are really happy that this is educational research will be the home in which there will be an equitable distribution. Educational research, HERI, will be the space in which we will also be looking at research in terms of our regions that are not doing well. What do we do? Because they belong to Kenya, and Kenya can only move well if we move together. And so we are happy to see the intentionality in terms of gender, and we will continue to be friends of this process. Kweli ni heri kuwa na heri. Kwa sababu heri kuna mambo. Remember when the young people came? Mnaona jina hili heri ni jina nzuri, na ni jina ambayo inaonyesha kwamba kule mbele kweli kuna heri. So, planning has been done. You, the university fraternity, it is up to you. Do a good job. Do a good job. The money, funding follows good ideas. Show that you are able for it. Stop lamentations. We are tired of lamentations. Let us now do the work. And I think we should be able to do. And I'm glad that the faculty of Kisii, you are here, and I think you're going to show that you can do this work. And the rest of us will be a cheering and support staff. So thank you very much, and I'm very glad to see this going on, and let it burgeon, let it bloom and the seeds go miles beyond Africa to wherever it will land, so that Africa will lead rather than Africa always lamenting. With those few remarks, let me now invite and hand over to the government, and I will now invite our County Commissioner, Bwana Chaunga Mwa Chaunga, County Commissioner, to come and invite our chief guest to make his remarks. Asanteni sana.
Our Cabinet Secretary, distinguished Vice Chancellors present, development partners, researchers, students, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Mwachaunga Chaunga, and I like repeating it because it is a very interesting name. Whenever I go and mention it, people must first laugh and then now listen to what I'm saying. It is a great honor and a privilege to join you today in this institution for the official launch of the Harnessing Education Research for Impact, HERI Africa initiative. I extend my sincere appreciation to the university leadership and the organizing committee for inviting me to be part of this important milestone. Allow me to particularly acknowledge the presence of our Cabinet Secretary for Education, whose leadership continues to steer transformative reforms in our education sector. Sir, your presence here today underscores the national importance of research-driven policy and innovation in education. Ladies and gentlemen, education remains the most powerful tool for social transformation, economic empowerment, and national development. However, for education to truly serve its purpose, it must be informed by credible research, guided by evidence and responsive to the real needs of our communities. The HERI Africa initiative is both timely and visionary. By harnessing education research for impact, this initiative moves us from theory to practice, from data to decision-making, and from knowledge generation to tangible societal change. Research should not remain confined to libraries and academic journals. It must influence classroom, inform policy, and improve learning outcomes from our young generation. As a county, we recognize that quality education is foundational to sustainable development. Initiatives like HERI Africa strengthens the bridges between academia, government, and community. In an era where we are implementing key reforms in the education sector, including the competency-based curriculum, research plays a critical role in assessing progress, identifying gaps, and recommending practical solutions. Evidence-based policy ensures that the resources are utilized effectively and that no learner is left behind. I encourage researchers under this initiative to focus not only on producing knowledge, but also on ensuring accessibility of that knowledge to policymakers, administrators, and local communities. Collaboration between national government, county leadership, educational institutions, and development partners will be essential in translating research findings into measurable impact. To our students here in Kisii and across the country, I urge you to embrace innovation, critical thinking, and inquiry. The future of this country, the future of this county, and our nation rests on your creativity and resilience. Let research not just be an academic requirement, but a tool to solve real societal challenges. To the leadership of various universities involved in this initiative, I commend you all for positioning your institutions as hubs of impactful research. This initiative will not only elevate your institution's profile, but also contribute meaningfully to the national and regional development. As I conclude, let us remember that education is not merely about access, but about quality, equity, and relevance. Through initiatives such as HERI Africa, we are taking deliberate steps towards strengthening our education system across the continent. On behalf of the County Administration of Kisii, I reaffirm our commitment to supporting partnership that enhances research, innovation, and educational excellence. With these remarks, I congratulate all stakeholders involved in the establishment of Harnessing Education Research for Impact, that is HERI Africa Initiative, and wish you great success as you embark on this transformative journey. May I take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the County Director. County Director, where are you? County Director, Education? Oh, not around. Fair enough. I think the other team of security has been introduced. Now it is my humble opportunity that I invite the chief guest, who is the Cabinet Secretary for Education, and I want us all to stand up. And we give the hearty usual clap that is usually for the old generation. No, that is not a style. The old generation. Not that way, please. We have a style that has refused to come out of our heads. The Nyayo style. Let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thank you very much, Karibu.
Please be seated. This Chaunga fellow, he made a very good speech and then he took us all the way back. I thought we have moved on. But thank you very much, County Commissioner. First, for the very good speech you gave. You know, for sometimes people used to think that county commissioners are policemen. He has given a speech equal to those of a professor, isn't it? Congratulations and well done. Very well done. The Chair of Council, Kisii University, and other chairs present, and your council members, the Vice Chancellor, Kisii University, and other Vice Chancellors present here, the CUE CEO, KICD, and each and every one of us here, colleagues, good afternoon. Good afternoon again. I have a speech, but I'm wondering whether I should read it or I should just speak. I tried that in Niru the other day, and I was trying to get a degree through recognition of prior learning. I was quickly disabused of that notion, so I'm not going to try it. But let me start by first and foremost thanking all of you for being here today. Research is such a critical component of our education. And I'll tell you a story in response to the challenge that was presented here by the good doctor who also challenged me in Embu, that we need to increase the amount of research amount. And I think we have done. We have now moved from the 0.8% to 2%. But we'll expect something from you. And that is something called the return on investment. We must get that, otherwise we'll go right back to where we were. But having said that, immediately I was appointed to this position, I encountered strikes in this sector, beginning from NAT, KUPPET, then WASU, and then KUSU, and then KUDEA, etc., etc. And I had a long discussion with the officials. I said, why do you always have to go on strike on your CBAs? And Professor Mugendi is here. I said, you know, our money, we must get our money, our allowances, our mortgage, the annual increments, etc., etc. So we agreed we'll try and resolve this issue, but can we, next time we are going on strike, go on strike on the issues relating, for example, to research? Say we are not being given enough time to research. We want to go on strike to be allowed to research, so that we can move from those basics to where the universities need to be. And I think you raise an important point. We have resolved those. I think it is time, as a sector, we now need to move to our role. You know, I've challenged the VCs here, the chairs. We are the universities. We are the Ministry of Education. Yani sisi ndio wasomi. Yeah? We do courses, we do programs. They are supposed to be based on research and evidence. They are not supposed to be guesswork. For example, we have just finished a verification exercise in the basic education. We have discovered that we have a total of about 11 million learners from grade 1 all the way to Form 4. Grade 1 to 9, grade 10, and then Form 3 and 4 we don't have Form 2. We have how many? 11 million. International standard, what should be the ratio of teacher to student? Should it be 1 to 30? Right? 1 to 30. So if you do the math, how many teachers should we be having in this country? Essential maths. There should be about 360, 300, call it 400,000. Correct? So why are we designing courses as universities where we are admitting 100,000 students every year to do education? On what basis are we doing that? When the requirement perhaps is 35,000 teachers per year. So the decisions we make, the programs we come up with, need to be informed by data. Because then we would be creating a situation where we have unemployment. We have students who cannot get jobs, or people who have graduated who cannot get. That's how important data is. We have done transmission from grade 9 to grade 10. The government policy is children or learners select their schools, correct? So you have 4 categories. Learners choose category 1, 3 schools, category 2, 3 schools, category 3, 3 schools, category 4, 3 schools, a total of 12 schools. Suppose your school has not even had one person selecting it. Where do we get students to give you? Then you accuse me of saying this placement system is killing our schools. It's not true, because the data is showing there is something that data needs to tell us. So now we need to assess, are these schools supposed to be maintained, or where you have 5 students choosing, or 10 or something? So this data needs to help us make decisions on where do we take the resources. What kind of resources should we have in certain schools? Data is important, evidence is important, research is important, decisions must be based on, and we'll be able to resolve a lot of our problems. That's why this is so important, and that's why, as a government, we are taking it very, very seriously that we'll support research. And that's why the government has actually come up with an independent state department of research domiciled in the PCS's office. Initially, and I think the professor, the PS will be here this afternoon, initially it was domiciled in the Ministry of Education. But when we did the analysis, we realized we are going to have silo fights where people will say, I'm in the Ministry of Health, I'm doing research on KEMRI, why is it being domiciled in the Ministry of Education? So we took it independent so that we can now have the benefit of all the research that we are doing in the country. That shows the commitment that the government has with respect to this issue of research, and we will support you. And the government has indicated we are moving from the 0.8 to 2%, not in talk. As of 2 or 3 days ago, money is being allocated to raise that figure to 2%. It's already coming in. So it's not just sio kuongea tu, lakini ni kitu ambao tunafanya. So research is important, and I just want to urge us as these institutions in the universities to take the lead, take our positions. And I like this particular council for Kisii University. When I came here the first time in January, I think 2025, and we had a meeting, one of the things they told me, I don't know whether you remember, was that we do not want to be remembered as a council that has only cleared the debts. There were a lot of debts here. So they were paying those debts. We just don't want to be remembered as a council that came in, cleared debts, and left. We want to do something more. And what they are doing is what you are seeing here today. So congratulations and well done. And that also goes to show you how seriously government is taking governance in universities. We've had to do a lot of changes here, and then we'll continue doing them until all our councils or our leadership in universities is functioning, is functional. We do not want a lot of friction where there is more fight and more noise than productivity. So you're doing the right thing, you're moving in the right direction, and our partners, we thank you for the support that you are giving us. Having said that, so that I don't become the subject of memes, I need to do the speech so that I can get my per diem. I'd never worked in government. This is my first job. So when I came to government, I was told there's something called per diem, and it's taken seriously by people in government. Otherwise, you get into a lot of trouble. But having said that, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to be here at Kisii University for the launch of HERI Africa. This is an important moment, not just for Kenya, but for the entire African continent. I think, for example, of a postgraduate student at Kisii University who explored how schools and communities can better support girls to remain in school. Her research identified practical ways to strengthen school rules, mentorship programs, and community support aligned with national education and child protection policies. If local authorities were to put these ideas into practice, more girls then would be able to continue their studies safely and confidently. The moment when research helps shape policies and programs that make a difference is exactly what HERI Africa is designed to create. HERI Africa exists to catalyze the transition from a research paper to a lived reality that transforms lives. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, higher education is at the center of Africa's development ambitions, and our universities are no longer just places of teaching. They are engines of knowledge, innovation, and solutions to everyday challenges. From mobile technology and smart agriculture to healthcare, to education and climate resilience, African university research is already changing lives. But to fully unlock this potential, research must be prioritized in policy, funding, and practice. Across Africa, higher education has expanded rapidly. Countries such as Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Ghana have widened access and increased student numbers. This growth is strengthened by regional and continental collaborations such as what is going on here. Bodies like the Inter-University Council for East Africa, the Association of African Universities, and the African Network for the Internationalization of Education promote student mobility, academic exchange, and joint research. Global partnerships also play a key role. The Association of Commonwealth Universities, UNESCO, and regional bodies support staff and student mobility, professional development, and research collaboration. Through these partnerships, African universities gain exposure, they gain skills and global visibility, while contributing African knowledge to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, while Africa has seen rapid expansion in higher education, as you've heard, it accounts for only 3% of global research output, far below what our talent, population, and potential would suggest. Initiatives like HERI Africa are working to bridge this gap by fostering academic mobility and collaborative knowledge exchange. By setting an ambitious target to increase Africa's research contribution to 30% by 2050, HERI Africa aims to ensure that the continent's immense talent and potential drive locally led solutions that command a rightful place on the global stage. Here in Kenya, higher education has grown remarkably. From a handful of universities decades ago, we now have 83 public and private universities serving over 700,000 students across the country. Our researchers have produced more than 7,000 research output papers in 2025 alone. However, research and innovation require sustained support. Kenya currently invests about 0.8% of GDP in research and development, which remains far below the continental and global targets. And that's why the government has increased this investment to 2% of GDP as stipulated by His Excellency, the President of Kenya. Education in this country remains a government priority, accounting for over 30% of national expenditure. That is a total of 765 billion in the financial year 2026-2027. In 2025-2026, it was 702 billion. 150 billion of that is allocated to higher education and research in the last financial year. By addressing the 0.8% of GDP investment gap and strengthening the capacity of universities to absorb and utilize these funds effectively, Kenya is committed to building a predictable long-term ecosystem where innovation is seamlessly integrated with teaching and community engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, funding alone is not enough. Research must also be treated as a core university mission and not an extra activity, which is what you are requesting for. As a government, let's confirm that we are committed to reforming the research and innovation system through reliable and predictable funding for long-term projects aligned to national and regional priorities, and steady increases in research and development investment to move closer to global standards and Africa's development agenda and needs. HERI Africa is a critical partner in this evolution, aligning with Kenya's national education research agenda to ensure academic outputs move beyond the laboratory and into the hands of policymakers. It connects African universities, strengthens mentorship, and ensures research reaches policymakers communities, and partners. Together, the National Education Research Agenda and HERI can create ecosystems where research drives real, measurable impact. You have to land the plane. One of the things that happen is, of course, the research is done, but it is left high up here, like Professor Kuria said. You need to come down and explain to us so that we can see what it is that we are getting from it. I once went to represent the president in Ghana on the African Academy of Sciences conference, and the teams, you know, the researchers and the innovators, they know each other. They are talking about the same presentations that have been done the last 3-4 years. You know, we were with you in Canada, we're in that other one, we're in that other one. But practically on the ground, does it trickle down? Do we feel it? That percentage, that 1% only that reaches the ground, is it enough for us to be able to say we are putting our resources where it matters most, in view of the fact that we do not have enough resources? Ladies and gentlemen, education is the backbone of development, and research is its engine. When universities lead in research and innovation, they produce skilled graduates, generate homegrown solutions, and contribute directly to economic and social transformation. Let us build a continent where every classroom, every laboratory, and every university is a hub of solutions driven by African knowledge and shaping both Africa's present and the global future. As I conclude, let me congratulate all the partners for bringing this vision to life. Let us work together to ensure that research leads, policies change, and communities benefit across Kenya, across Africa, and globally. I thank you. Asanteni sana.
Chief guest, nitaomba tu tafadhali usiende. Ukiwa tu hapo, we want to do the launch. That is what you came to do, sir. Yes. And so allow me to invite some of our partners to be able to do this together with our chief guest. Imaginable Futures, we can have one representative, Safaricom Foundation, HERI Africa. We can have National Gender Equality Commission. Yes, Purity hayupo, but we need that gender. Dr. Sarah Ruto, tafadhali njo, so that we can give that motivation to our CS as he came to do, ndiye apate per diem. And so we have a beautiful dummy book that we want to witness the real launch of HERI Africa, and also in the same spirit, the unveiling of the National Education Research Agenda. I hope our media team are ready, and to utaratibu kwamba kwa utaratibu kwamba tuna ni ishara tu kwamba tutakupa makasi ili ukati kama ishara tu, na kwa sababu mlikuja kushuhudia, tafadhali mnaweza kuweka mikono pamoja, kama kuna bendi tayari itusaidie, maana sasa ni sherehe, ni shangwe na vigelegele. Ngoja kidogo tafadhali. Nikisema HERI tunasema hongera. HERI hongera mara 3 kisha utakata. Najua wewe ni mwanafunzi mzuri sana. HERI hongera. HERI hongera. HERI hongera. Asante sana. Asante sana. Na hivyo ndivyo ilivyokuwa. Na hili tutafungua ili tuweze kuona ni nini ambacho kimefungwa na tuweze kukabidhi. It's a dummy book, and you can pass it over to the partners, and then they pass it over to the other partners and the other partners. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. And the baby is born just like that. Congratulations, HERI Africa, happening live at Kisii University. Thank you so much. And because we are African, everything has to do with food. we will be asking our chief guest to also help us test some HERI food. And so our ushers, kindly, you could bring over the cake. Pigeni makofi anapo. Keep handing over, keep handing the HERI book. Tafadhali upesi kidogo kwa ajili ya muda. Nafikiri DJ una Afrika ili kusherekea HERI wakati tunafanya hili, na naomba tu kwamba tungeweza kuleta meza. Haiwezi. Sawa, tumpigie makofi tafadhali. Ikiwa naweza nikapata kisu tafadhali. Tuko Kisii DJ, tuko Kisii, tafuta moja tu ya maana ambayo itatusaidia kula chakula. Our partners tunawahitaji nyote huku. Punde tu baada ya hili tutawauliza msimame hapa tupige picha, na baadaye kisha tutaweza kufikia mwisho wa hafla hii. Kwa hivyo partners, wherever you are, kindly make sure that I've not seen Esa kindly. Yes, please come. Esa come. All our partners to come. Sababu ya agenda Profesa Kenyatta tafadhali songa karibu, na pia vile vile asking Safaricom Foundation songa karibu. HERI Africa, HERI Africa, hongera. Wapi shangwe, wapi makofi. This is what we came to do. We really celebrate saidia pale HERI Africa as they are tasting the cake, before they move. Kindly can we get some dish just to taste the cake as they move. We will be asking our photographers to be ready. In the interest of time, kindly, chief guest, you cook and you taste, and then we can confirm that HERI is sweet. In Africa, we don't feed ourselves. Tunangoja kwanza tulishwe. Bas, sasa keki ndio hiyo. Yes, we can have that pressure. Yes. Tumpigie makofi, ameamua kujilisha. Ameamua kujilisha. Yes. We are in Kisii land. We celebrate the Kisii way. Ushers, kindly, you can have this cake removed and distributed from here. A beautiful launch for today. Ushers, quickly, in the interest of time, I'll be asking. I'm asking that we take a photograph, a group photograph. naomba kwamba kidogo tu tuelekezwe tupige picha hapa juu, alafu kuna picha nyingine pale nje baada tu ya kuomba. Tumemaliza. Songe tu karibu tupige picha. Dear partners, kindly let's just take a photograph here. Dear partners, any other partner that is down there? Our dear partners, as we are doing this, ladies and gentlemen, we will all take a photograph outside there at the stairs. Immediately we do our national anthem and our prayer. So kindly just hold on, we're about to finish. As our guests are taking their photograph, all of us, we will be requested immediately after we finish with the national anthem and prayer to be at the stairs and take one group photograph. And then we'll be asking our Vice Chancellor to kindly give the gift to our guests. Can we kindly have the gift? Yes. Aha. Mgeni wetu huendi mkono mitupu. Pokea tafadhali zawadi kutoka katika mioyo yetu tukisema heri Afrika. Aha. Heri Africa. Heri Africa. I'll be asking us, the band wherever you are, you could be moving near, and as you're doing that, kindly Father Lawrence could come just in preparation the closing prayer, and after that we'll be requesting some of us to have a short, brief interview with the media team, just waiting outside there. 0.01 second. So we can, our band ready. Ladies and gentlemen, let us be upstanding for the national anthem. The national anthem, closing prayer. We step outside. Our guests are going to have a brief media interview. The rest of us are going to the stairs to take a group photograph. A word of prayer, kindly.
Heavenly Father, animated by your word from Jeremiah 32 on how you sovereign you are, O God, of knowledge and the counsel, and also in a mighty way you foresee the works of mortal beings. Lord, this reminds us with the birth of this new initiative, the birth of Moses. And we see he was enslaved. The people were enslaved in the land of Egypt. Just like the African challenges in studies and the lives seem to be enslaved by the Western education and culture. In the conception and protection of the young boy Moses, we see 3 months of protection, like the 3 institutions who are picking up this initiative to bear it, to guard it. And just like under the protection and the midwifery and the support, so are our partners today who are here. We thank you, Lord, for all those who have created this initiative. Through the discovery and adoption, the Pharaoh's daughter took the young boy under the custody and protection. Just like the government of Kenya today, headed by the CS here present, has taken home this initiative under the protection and adoption. We ask, Lord, that as this dream is meant not only for present but for the future, just like the people of Israel, Moses was meant for homeland and also away, producing changes in the lives of the people. Look upon this our initiative. May it go at length to help the African child, both within and in a broad sense. We ask for your blessings, O Lord, that as the remaining activities of this day be, you may shower your blessings, just like you have done to us so far. We praise you, we uphold you, we glorify you. Thanks for our speakers and all the partners. Bless them all, the engagements of this day, that they may move out. May you shower their way forth. Keep them safe, mind, body, and soul. To you be the glory, O God, our Savior. Humanity. Right. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you very much. Let us allow our guests to step out first, and then we can follow after they have left. Turuhusu kwanza wageni wetu watoke nje.